Alrighty then, folks. Welcome to another unusual one of my little broadcasts. Yeah. So what we're looking at here on screen is the wiki for America Chavez, Miss America, because I recently watched the Marvel Rising series. Marvel Rises. It's on the Marvel HQ YouTube channel. I'll cover a few issues here. What I saw was people commenting that they didn't like the animation quality, and honestly, I thought it was fine. The thing people have to understand about Marvel Rising is it's not a TV show. Like, they're billing it as features, but it's not a TV show, and it's a YouTube exclusive. So it's a different kind of beast than, say, Spider-Man on TV is, or The Dark Knight, or whatever. It's a YouTube exclusive free show that Marvel's putting out, substantially from what I can tell, to just kind of highlight their lesser known characters. I'm not quite sure what Marvel Rising's entire purpose is, but they are highlighting lesser known characters, though I wouldn't call them B or D list, because let's be honest, Ghost Spider, Miss America, Miss Marvel, Patriot. They had freaking Captain Marvel in it. Squirrel Girl. You can't really call Squirrel Girl a B or D list. But they're highlighting some of the lesser, I guess the word would be, broadcast characters that haven't really seen a lot of visual medium outside of the comics portrayal. So it's a different kind of beast than an animated show or an animated movie. They're clearly planning to do quite a bit of stuff with it, but it is a different kind of beast from what we're expecting, from what we're used to. But while watching it, I saw Miss America, America Chavez, which is the focus of our discussion here. And then I looked into the character because I thought the way that they basically, everything that they exploded into stars, but I thought was a useful way of taking a character that, for all intents and purposes, is just another Superman parallel. She's got super strength, super speed, she can fly. But how do they distinguish her from the other ones? Every time she blows shit up, it blows up into the shape of a star. Like, even the collateral damage around her was shaped in stars. And when she kicks open a wall or a door, it doesn't just leave general rubble hole in there. It's a star-shaped hole. So I thought that was a neat way to make the character a little bit different than just standard flying bruiser. That she stays on brand pretty much all the time with her stars. Stars. But as I looked into the character, I noticed there was a lot of stuff that kept referring to her as two things. Like, look here at the references. America Chavez is Marvel's lesbian Latina superhero. Marvel is introducing a queer Latina superhero. Queer Latina superhero America Chavez leads her own series in Marvel's America. Like, this is a constant point that people seem to like to point out, but the thing is, she's neither queer, confirmed, or Latin American. She is from, and even Marvel Rising keeps it the same, an alternate dimension. In the comics, it's called Utopia Parallel, a reality outside of time, and in the presence of beings known as the Demiurge. In Marvel Rising, let's be honest, it's Krypton. It's Krypton. There's no getting around it. It's Krypton. It's a high-tech society set in some alternate dimension that is threatened with extinction, and her parents, her mothers, send their only child to an alternate dimension to save her. It's Krypton. Let's be honest, it's Krypton. But everyone's calling her Latina, but she's no more Latina than Kal-El is a African American. Like, even on the wiki for DC, they don't list him as African American. he is a American Kryptonian, just as Miss America is an American utopian. I guess that would be the term. Just because he's got dark skin and dark eyes does not make him an African American. He has no actual ties to Africa, and his only ties to America is being raised by, well, they don't even name his parents. It's unnamed adoptive father and unnamed adoptive mother. And I think it's actually the same with Miss America. As far as I can tell, there is no reference of who raised her. Now, in the comics, she basically fled from her home dimension and has basically been running between dimensions as she grew up. So she never really had anyone raising her. She just kind of fled and kept running. She was basically a runaway. Not to be confused with the comic, The Runaways. In the show, she is, well, she's Kal-El. She's sent off of Earth by Jor-El and, well, I guess it would be Laurel and Laurel, because she has two mothers. She's sent off of Krypton by her two mothers when she's 6. She's sent to Earth, and they don't tell us who raised her. So presumably she was a runaway on Earth. We don't really have any confirmation, but since neither the comic nor the cartoon establish her being raised in any way by a Latin American family, and thus being in that community even adoptively, because you can make arguments that Kal-El, Superman, could be an adoptive member of whatever community is, whether it be Russian or African or Kansas. But without that actual core bit of information for America Chavez, we can't say that she's Latin American. And it's actually insulting that people refer to her as Latin American, because they're basically saying, oh, this person with dark skin and brown wavy hair, she's Latin American. It's the ultimate racist statement. They're defining a person by the color of their skin without any actual origin to back it up. And that's kind of the point I'm getting to. It's the same thing that it harkens to the same sentiments that Sulu's actor George Takei had when he heard that in the reboot franchise they were making Sulu gay because his previous actor was gay. It's the sort of idea that if you're gay, anyone you portray has to be gay. And it's something that people in the actual LGBT community take offense at, because it's basically saying that gay people can only play gay people, and straight people can only play straight people. Straight people can't play gay people can't play straight people. And it's the same thing here. They're saying that because she has dark skin, that means she's Latina. It's the ultimate insult. And I take a personal offense to it because I'm actually Brazilian by birth. So I actually have more ties to Latin America than she does. Because my mother and my grandmother were both from Brazil. But that's a minor issue. They're giving her a racial identity when none exists. That's a minor issue. The other part of it is the constant references to her being a queer character. Now, I read through the fictional character biography here on Wiki, and of course, I watched Marvel Rising. At no point in either one of these things is there reference to her having a relationship with anybody. As far as we know, she could be into horses. Or she could be pansexual like Deadpool. She could be into furries. She could be into, I don't know, cars sexually. We are never given any indication of America Chavez's own sexual preferences and identity. What we have is the fact that she had two mothers. And again, this harkens back to the point I was making before, is that if you look like a gay, you're gay. In this case, she has gay parents, which is again giving the idea that if you have gay parents, you in turn have to be gay. And again, the LGBT community takes offense to that. The idea that gay is something that you will infect your children with. That gay parents can't have straight kids. that if you have gay parents, you are destined to be gay because your parents were gay. It's an actual sticking point with the LGBT community. And that's what they're doing to Miss America. I have no problem if she is, LGBT, but she's never actually portrayed to have any sexual identity at all. But because she has gay parents, she is, by extension, now gay. And I take offense to that idea. And I think the LGBT community should take offense to the idea as well, because there's nothing in the character defining her sexual identity. Unlike, say, Batwoman, who is canonically gay, and the only reason she didn't get married was because DC has this weird idea that none of their characters can get married? Yeah, that's the thing. So that's why they broke off the wedding with Batwoman, is because apparently they don't want any of their characters in the DC universe to get married. What the hell is up with comic books and marriage? Do they just not think that married couples are relatable? Because there's also one more day, and just like, what is up with this idea that married people can't be relatable? I'm pretty sure everybody out there, and I mean literally everybody out there, who exists on the planet can relate to someone having parents. Now, they could be biological parents, they could be adoptive parents, they could be a gay adoptive parents, doesn't really matter. But everybody, every single person on this planet can relate to having parents. There is not a single living human being on this planet who cannot relate to the concept of having parents. But for some strange reason, DC and Marvel have this idea that it's unrelatable to be a parent. That you can't relate to a person if they have a relationship that's been formalized in writing. Because that's really all marriage is. Marriage is literally a piece of paper that says these two people are married. Like, my father right now is in a non-written relationship. He's been in one for several years after the death of my mother. Took him a few years to bounce back, but he eventually found somebody. They live together. They're very happy. I'm very happy for them. But they haven't finalized anything in paper. But they are a couple. But for some bizarre reason, comic books can't grasp the concept of someone being in an actual steady relationship. Like, all their characters have to be single. They can have, one-off relationships, but they can't actually have a solid relationship of someone that they want to stay with for the rest of their life. And by the same token, they don't want to formalize that in writing. You can kind of see where I'm getting from here. It's a very, very strange attitude to have, that you can't have a relationship, you can't have a formalized relationship, and anything surface level defines you. If your parents are gay, you are, by definition and extension, also gay. Even if you've had no relationships whatsoever. If you have dark skin and dark hair, you are Latina, by definition, despite actually having nothing in your story or heritage connecting you to being raised by Latinas. Again, going to Kal-El, the Black Superman. If you read it, there's nothing in him that talks about even what his parents were like. We have from here. The Kal-El was eventually landed on planet Earth, found by the poor but kind Ellis family, who christened him Calvin. He was raised to stand up for himself no matter the odds, fight for what's right. We have no idea what his parents were like. When his powers emerged on the Yellow Sun, he became Superman, champion of the press, and defender of the peace. Eventually became president of the United States. Like, I cannot find any references here to what his actual parents were. So, again, but here's DC. They don't call him an African American. He's an American Kryptonian. But Marvel, on the other hand, does it differently. Now, of course, there are two other examples that they're listing here. Let's pull them up. So we got Sunshine. What's he listed as? Hair black, universe dream world, citizenship just American. Strange beings have manifested from the mask of Psycho Pirate, a refugee from 1,000 alternate Earths destroyed during the crisis of Infinite Earth, later raised from reality. Apparently reborn, joined Superman in multiverse during the final crisis. What do we got here? Kal-El. Universe Earth D, race Kryptonian. Like, DC at least are consistent. If you're an alien from another planet or another realm, you're not defined by the race and ethnicities of Earth, because you are not from Earth, and thus you cannot be defined by the culture of Earth. It is not your culture. You may look like them, the same way that, well, Vulcans look like humans just with 20 ears and green blood. But if you, I guarantee you, if there was a Vulcan trapped on Earth during the 20th century, or just one raised, or one that just moved to Earth, you wouldn't be seeing on their profile page, behold, the world's first, and say they're played by an Asian captain of the Enterprise, who's actually a Vulcan. No, it would just be Asian actor plays Vulcan. Because we've had black Vulcans. Tuvok. No one makes a big deal out of the fact that Tuvok is black, even though because he's a Vulcan, and it's not a, it's, the two do not relate. The skin of the actor does not relate to their actual fictional race. And that's kind of the same thing with Miss America that I'm getting at here. I'll end the stream about here. But it is, like I said, I labeled it as a rant for a reason. But it is something that kind of annoys me, because it's this idea that what you look like defines who you are. And I thought we were trying to move away from the idea of defining people by the way they look. I mean, isn't that the entire point of our community, is that we're supposed to be defining people by who they are, not what they look like? But not according to America Chavez. Nope. She is a lesbian Latina superhero who has had 0 relationships and comes from an alternate dimension. But yeah, she's a lesbian Latina. Good day, everyone.